going to delve a little more deeply into some of the more challenging kinds of annotation. We'll have the chance during the class, as well as for your assignment, to practice some of the things that we're going to learn about today. And I hope during the course of the time that we're doing this, you'll ask questions. I remember that when I first started doing annotation for FrameNet, it seemed to me that every sentence I looked at, I had to ask a question. That's just the way it goes. So please ask questions. All right, today's topics are some of the special, the content, not the practical matters we'll talk about in a minute, are the special circumstances that require different kinds of annotation than the so-called easy annotation, both in terms of, in particular, we're going to look at special circumstances for frame element annotation and what kind of grammatical function is assigned to the constituent that gets this, that's assigned this role. Because remember, our general principle is one of syntactic locality, right? Within the maximal projection of the target lexical unit. And there are different situations that come up that require how shall I say, thinking out of the box. Okay, so first, the practical matters. I keep meaning to announce that FrameNet has a page on Facebook, and for anyone who has a profile on Facebook, I encourage you, if you want to like the FrameNet page. Also, as we get more organized with social networking for Facebook, for FrameNet, the Facebook page will be a place that you could find out about important events, such as this one, other milestones in FrameNet's fast developing fame in the world. Okay, so we're going to spend a little bit of time reviewing the assignment that you had, and then we're going to go look at these we're going to look at special circumstance annotation and focus primarily on null instantiation, a topic that came up yesterday while we were doing the so-called easy annotation, and a variety of control phenomena. Okay, so let's go back to yesterday's assignment where I asked you to study the revenge frame, learn about its FEs, choose a lexical unit other than the three we worked on in class, craft a sentence that instantiates all of the core FEs, and be prepared to say something about the valence description of that lexical unit. And then I wanted you to choose a comparable or analogous lexical unit in Portuguese. So fortunately, I now have a list of names, and I can call on you much more easily if you choose not to volunteer, but volunteering is always better. How about, it's either Julie or Juliana? Ah, okay. Juliana.
I understood wrongly. What I did, it's not correct because I thought I should look for another frame. So I did the exercise about the frame of traveling.
That's fine. The principles are the same, right? We're getting familiar with the notions that are crucial to frame semantic annotation, and I suggested revenge because we had a lot of time to think about the revenge frame, but choosing a lexical unit to study, choosing a frame to study, picking a lexical unit in that frame, looking at the frame elements, the core frame elements for that frame, and how those elements are instantiated in your sentence is a good thing to do if you want to learn about frame semantic annotation for any frame. Okay. So that's fine.
Well, I thought about this frame because it's similar, you know, the way they instantiate the elements, even in Portuguese or in English. The difference is about the core elements, which are instantiated in English and in Portuguese, because I noticed...
Okay, well, wait, 1 second. So first say something about the frames so everybody knows what situation or scene that that frame characterizes. Okay. Then tell us the core frame elements, and then give us an example sentence, okay?
Okay. Traveling is a frame that describes the, how can I say, when a traveler travel to a goal or a destination with some purpose.
Okay.
I'm thinking about Portuguese because in English the core elements are different from the ones in Portuguese.
Okay, so I have a question first. The frame that you are thinking of, are you thinking of traveling as tourism or traveling as going from one place to the other? Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. I thought about traveling as tourism, you know?
Okay.
Because in the first activity, you asked us to think about a frame.
Yeah,
I had thought about the hotel scene.
Okay.
You know,
so yeah,
right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everyone, that's what I thought you were doing. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that you were in that frame and not in, I travel to work every day.
No.
Right? Okay.
So I made up a sentence which is, Juliana traveled to Japan to visit her friends.
Okay.
And you have Juliana as the traveler.
Right.
To Japan is the goal or destination.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to name this. And
remember that naming frame elements, the goal of naming frame elements is that you have a label that's descriptive of the role, right? So destination is fine. Goal is more general.
Okay.
And there's nothing, either one would be okay.
Okay. And I thought destination was better because you have to visit her friends as a purpose or reason of the travel.
So that's the purpose, right?
Right.
Right.
So these are the core frame elements that I thought.
So the core frame elements are traveler,
goal, yes.
And traveler, destination, and purpose.
Yes.
We're talking about English now.
Portuguese.
Oh, you're telling me about Portuguese. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's correct because there's no corpus for me to think about it.
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah. No, this is a very good way to think about it. Go ahead.
Okay. So the non-core elements that I thought for Portuguese is the duration of the travel. For example, Juliana traveled for 2 days to Japan to visit friends, and for 2 days is the duration of the travel.
Right.
Co-participants, which occurs in English too, you know, if the visitor has any company to traveling. So if you have Juliana traveled to Japan along with Charles, for example. Is it correct?
And what did you name that frame element along with Charlie?
It's the company, you know, the person who traveled to...
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I'm not worried about the name as much as I'm thinking about what you, and you said that was a core frame element or a non-core?
Non-core.
Well, I'm not sure, because after all, they're both traveling, and you know, you can say Juliana and, I forgot the name.
Charles.
Yeah, Juliana and Charlie traveled to Japan.
Okay.
Juliana traveled with Charlie to Japan.
I thought this when I was doing this too, but I thought if you were emphasizing Juliana as the traveler, for example, if you have a context, so...
Right, but we have a lot of, that's a very good point you're bringing up. We have a lot of situations where you can have one or more participants, one or more agents, if you will, the person doing the activity, where they don't always have to be in the same constituent, right? So Miriam and Juliana spoke to each other, right?
Right.
So in the communication frame, the constituent, Miriam and Juliana, would be the instantiation of the speaker. Likewise, I could say Miriam spoke with Juliana, right? They're both still the participants. And in situations like that, we would say participant 1, participant 2, or speaker 1, speaker 2. So the separate or joint activity, the way we handle these kinds of things in FrameNet is either speaker 1, speaker 2, or speakers, right?
Right.
Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yes,
so
I got it.
In your case, I think I would, rather than say non-core for Charlie, just because he happens to be in this subordinate dependent clause, I would call him a traveler too. And the way you would distinguish it would be in the development of your frame elements, you would have either traveler 1, traveler 2, or travelers, and that would give you the frame semantic apparatus for all kinds of linguistic realizations of traveler. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, and you would never get both. You would never get all three in the same sentence. You would either get traveler 1 and traveler 1 and traveler 2, or travelers, depending on the structure and meaning, of course, of the sentence.
Yes, I understood. I had thought about traveler 1 and traveler 2.
Yeah.
But I got it, what you said.
Yeah, right. No, that's good. No, that's a great question. That's a wonderful topic to have come up and to be thinking about.
So the next non-core elements that I thought to Portuguese, is frequency and mean of transportation, that I thought this in Portuguese would be non-core elements. But if I'm not making a mistake, in English, because I searched the frame on FrameNet after I did the exercise. So some of these elements that I list as non-core elements appear as core elements.
It depends on the frame, right? It would depend on the frame.
Yes.
So I don't know which frames did you look at. You have to make sure that you have a frame that's comparable to the travel tourism frame.
Yes.
Right. So what did you look at?
It's the frame as tourism.
No, that's your frame. But in the FrameNet database, which frame did you look at and find that those were?
I searched for travel and saw the results for traveling tourism.
And which frame elements were core?
I don't remember because I didn't wrote this here. But I remember that some of the elements that I listed as non-core elements to Portuguese, some of them were core elements to English. You know, as duration and co-participants and mean of transportation, if I'm not making a mistake.
Yeah, okay, we should look at this together on the FrameNet database because I don't have it memorized, and we can work it out. But in Portuguese, you think they're non-core?
Yes, in Portuguese. Well, I listed here all the non-core frame elements for Portuguese that I know that.
Okay, so to sort this out, what we need to do is think about the concepts that must be there regardless of whether and how they manifest in a sentence. Okay?
Okay. Well, to non-core elements, frame elements, Portuguese, I thought area, you know, if you say Juliana traveled in Europe. Is it correct? Is it possible?
Sure. She traveled in Europe?
Yeah, because it's not a specified place, you know, it's not like the destination. I don't know.
I think it is the destination.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I can live in Europe and travel in Europe.
Yeah, but live and travel, they're different frames, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. So the direction, you know, if it's north or south.
Good one. That would be not non-core.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Path, you know.
Yeah, the usual things that we, yeah. So tell me again, let's focus on the core, because that's what I was most interested in.
Okay. Well, the core, that's are the ones I have already said. Duration, co-participants, frequency, and mean of transportation.
Okay, so the important point to remember about participants is you need participant 1, participant 2, and they alternate with participants. So they're all the same category of frame element, but they need to be specified, right? Because if you think about the way the way sentences manifest those frame elements. Juliana traveled with Miriam to Europe, right? In that case, we have, oh, sorry, I meant to say it the other way. Juliana and Miriam traveled to Europe.
You have
or Juliana traveled to Europe with Miriam. In the first case, you have participants.
Yeah.
In the second case, you have participant 1, participant 2. So that's an important distinction. Okay.
Okay.
So you have a, 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 a little set of frame elements for agent, and then the second core element was destination, right? And then in Portuguese you have purpose. Are you saying that in Portuguese purpose has to be core?
Yes,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. It's somewhat analogous to the way it works in Spanish, if I remember correctly. Right. And in English, I am pretty sure that you wouldn't have to have purpose as core.
I remember that
Right.
purpose in English wasn't a core element.
Right. Purpose is not correct. Okay, good. Does somebody have another example that we could go over quickly? Either from, preferably from the revenge frame? Yes.
So, regard revenge, I chose the LU retail, which in Portuguese means like retaliate, and in the description it's to retaliate an aggression in exchange of a similar attack. I chose two examples that have two different valences. In the first example, the soldier retaliated with rubber weapons and gas bombs. The soldiers are the revengers, the avengers actually, the external, and the NP, the noun phrase. And with rubber bullets and gas bombs would be the punishment, and the dependent, and the PP, the phrase, the prepositional phrase. And in the second example, in this first example, there was two frame elements, core elements, which is the avenger and the punishment. Then I can say that the offense would be a null instantiation, well defined, and the offender could be a new indefined null instantiation.
The offender?
O ofensor? Yes.
I think the offense is a definite null instantiation.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into that more today, but because in order to understand a sentence with the verb retaliate, you must have in mind an offender, right? Then it's definite. So in other words, the context makes it clear that there's a defender because of the verb itself. Offender, not defender. Sorry.
I searched in a corpus.
You looked in the corpus?
Yes. This
And
example.
offender is tagged as indefinite?
Yes.
Okay, we'll look at it. We'll look at it.
The next.
But I wanted to ask you, did you craft an English sentence?
No.
Okay,
No.
so that's
Just
what I.
Portuguese.
Yeah, just Portuguese.
Yes.
Okay, because what I hoped for was that you would make up an English sentence and then tell me about the core frame elements in that sentence and how they're instantiated. That would be part one. And then part two, a comparable Portuguese sentence. Okay, that's okay. Right now we'll focus on the Portuguese.
So the elements, the core elements would be, that I found was the revenger and the punishment in this example. The soldiers retaliated with rubber bullets and gas bombs. Okay.
So then remember, core frame elements have to be instantiated. Yeah. Sorry. Remember, core frame elements have to be instantiated. So either there's some linguistic material, or we can account for why there is no linguistic material, such as with null instantiation. But the reason I asked you to do this exercise was so that you would have the opportunity to work with a sentence where all of the core frame elements were instantiated.
The Avenger e Punishment.
The Avenger?
And Punishment, ou a punição.
Right, but I'm looking for a sentence where all of the other core frame elements are instantiated.
Aí seria...
Okay, maybe we should talk about this afterwards to clarify, okay? Okay. Yeah. One second, are you going to give me a sentence in English?
In English. The sentence is in English, okay? Amy avenged on the guy who killed her sister by killing his son. Okay?
I didn't hear it, I was listening. Sorry.
Amy avenged on the guy who killed her sister by killing his son.
Amy avenged
on the guy who killed her sister by killing his son.
Okay, in English. Sorry. In English, we can't say avenged on.
No.
No.
Avenged.
Right. Amy, tell me your sentence again.
Amy avenged on the guy who killed her sister by killing his son.
Amy avenged his sister's death
on the guy. No.
Amy, you could say take revenge on,
okay.
But avenge takes a direct object.
Okay.
Okay.
So I can choose for take avenge.
Take revenge.
Revenge. Okay.
Okay.
Amy take revenge on the guy who killed her sister by killing his son. Okay.
Good. Okay. Very good. So this is one of the reasons that valence description is so important. Different verbs require different kinds of prepositional phrase dependence. So you take revenge on, but you revenge
someone.
Exactly. Or some, yeah, right, exactly. Something.
Okay.
So in English you could say, he revenged his sister's death, but not he revenged his sister. So what that tells us is, this is the exact point that I wanted to bring out. You could say he revenged his sister's death, where his sister's death is the injury, and the injured person is the second layer, right? Or, what was it? Or he took revenge for his sister's death, right? So the kind of frame element and the kind of part of speech, no, not part of speech, a phrase type that occurs is exactly what the valence is all about. It's the matching, the pairing of the semantic role, or the triple of information, the semantic role, the grammatical function, and the phrase type. What the question you ask is, what is the linguistic realization of this semantic role?
Well,
Okay, so the sentence we're looking at now is, Amy took revenge on?
the guy who killed her sister by
Yes.
killing his son.
Good. Okay, so this, doing this is what helps you come to understand what are the crucial factors that contribute to the valence description of a lexical unit, right? So this is great, and thank you.